day 2. And today we take the next step by turning the discussions that we've had yesterday into actionable strategies. Now we'll be exploring how innovation can transcend boundaries, be it geographical, industrial, or technological, to create meaningful, sustainable impact. From 5G connectivity to human-machine collaboration, and from ASEAN's role in this bigger picture. We'll also be zooming in on some global innovation lessons from Sweden's science parks. And definitely, today looks like it promises to fuel imaginations and excite collaboration. So please, do kindly join us inside the main hall, if you haven't done so already, as we get set for an exciting day. We'd like to recognize those that have made the summit possible. A big thank you, as iNation Global Summit 2024 is proudly presented to you by Celcom Digi with the unwavering support of our esteemed partners. Astro AWANI is our official broadcaster, Huawei, Tata Consultancy Services, TNB as our partner sponsor. Together, Meranti and our sponsors drive iNation Global Summit as the premier platform for collaboration and technological transformation. We look forward to getting started real soon, as our first keynote is from Airlines, the Ecosystem by Tan Sri Tony Fernandes. So please do kindly join us once again inside the main hall as we get set to begin. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be starting in 2 minutes' time. Please do kindly join us inside the main hall. Thank you very much. Do kindly take your seats as we get set to take you through from airlines to ecosystem in just a short moment. Thank you. Assalamualaikum and a very good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us on day 2. Welcome back. And to those of you who are just joining us today, thank you for being a part of the iNation Global Summit 2024, proudly presented to you by Celcom DG, with the unwavering support of our esteemed partners, Astro AWANI, our official broadcaster, Huawei, Tata Consultancy Services, TNB as our partner sponsor. Let's give them a round of applause in thanking them for putting this event together alongside Meranti. And now it's time to set the tone for today. Now it's all about action today, and he's definitely a man of action. His story is transformative, inspirational, and then some. Ladies and gentlemen, he'll be joining us today to deliver the keynote as someone who has revolutionized the aviation industry and created accessibility for everyone to travel. From airlines to ecosystems, it's time to get his insights on what that means. Please put your hands together and welcome a man who really needs no introduction, the one and only Tan Sri Tony Fernandes.
Morning, everyone. Someone just texted me and said I look exhausted. I am. Try running an airline for the last 5 years and you'll feel the same. But we're on the last bits and we're excited about the future. Firstly, to my old good friend, that's all right. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for kind of explaining to me what Meranti is and how you're going to change it back, and that sounds very exciting. So I'm going to kind of not talk to you so much about the airline, a little bit, and then really focus on how we used innovation and a lot of things you're doing to kind of build other companies during COVID. So there are 2 ways of dealing with COVID. We could have just put our heads in the sand and cry and give up, which is not really in my vocabulary, or try and innovate and see what we did. So I looked at all our assets in AirAsia, and to keep ourselves relevant, we built all these companies really using data and technology. So just to highlight where we came from, you know, in December the 8th, we'll be 23 years old, and you know, I'm now 60 years old. So I started this business when I was 36 with Kamarudin and Aziz Bakar and Dato Pahamin, all guys from the music industry. So the first thing I want to tell all of you that are startups, that you can do anything you want to do. It doesn't really matter where you came from. I was from the music business. I knew nothing about airlines. But if you have a good idea and you're willing to work hard and take some risks, anything's possible. So as you know, we started with 2 planes. We now have 246. My first day, December the 8th, 2001, we had 200 staff, and now we have 24,000 staff. Since we started, we've carried 829 million people. We're actually the fourth largest airline in Asia. Only the 3 Chinese airlines are bigger than us, and they have a slight advantage of 1.3 billion people in their country. We've gone to 136 global destinations. We just started a flight to Africa. We're really excited about Africa. There's really poor connectivity between Africa and Southeast Asia. And we just started to Nairobi, and we're going to add many more flights into Africa. And we started to Kazakhstan. Again, why did I start to Kazakhstan? And that route is like over 92%. Is because most people in Southeast Asia have never seen snow. And the closest is maybe Korea and Japan, which is really expensive. And Kazakhstan was really cheap for people to go to a ski resort. So that's how we started that. So our life is all about making dreams. 258 routes, and now we're in 5 countries in ASEAN, Malaysia, Thailand, Indonesia, Philippines, Cambodia. And I hope before I retire that we'll be in all countries. You know, probably the toughest is Singapore, but who knows? We can dream. I've applied 5 times in Singapore, and 5 times they rejected me. But you never give up, which is the first message, and probably the most important message as an entrepreneur or as a startup. Never give up. Never let people tell you, you know. If there's one thing about me, I mean, there's many things said about me, good, positive, and negative. I never give up. I'm very resilient. You can throw a lot of things at me, but I'll still push and carry on. So, you know, I mean, that slide is a horrific slide. It was like a Will Smith movie. If you imagine KLIA 2, there was not a single person. 246 planes grounded, nobody in the airport. You can't imagine it. COVID, you know, I always said in my speeches, I've seen everything, I've done everything. Nothing is going to scare me, you know? No politicians, no Singapore government, nothing. But then COVID comes. Second lesson, keep your mouth shut. Don't ever predict anything, because someone will throw something in your way. So always be aware. I mean, you see all these movies, I Am Legend with Will Smith and all these virus movies, and you think, it's only in the movies. Well, it happened. And it was the biggest shock. Like, I've been through, as I said, SARS, bird flu, tsunami, earthquakes, but there's always a way. And that's my second lesson. There's always, as long as you're alive, as long as you're healthy, there's always a way back. Don't give up, right? I always tell this funny story. You know, I don't remember, during maybe 10 years ago, 12 years ago, the Bali bomb. Everyone canceled their flights to Bali because they were scared to go to Bali. And I said to my staff, we cannot cancel flights. We've made a lot of money from Bali, and we have to carry on going to Bali. And so we gave away 5,000 free seats. And those 5,000 free seats were sold in 20 seconds because I knew Malaysians very well. If you put a free seat, we will risk our lives, okay? 500 ringgit to Bali, no, I'm too scared. Free seat, I'm going. And the beauty of Malaysians, all of you here, or the majority of you here, is that if you get a free seat, you go there, you have a great time, you will tell 50,000 other people how clever you were to get a free seat and go to Bali. So we were the only airline never to cancel a flight. Okay, ma'am, you got a fantastic smile. Come up here, come up here. You in the middle, here. In the red. You, yeah, come up. Because you're wearing red, this is your lucky day. And I like your smile, unlike Rais Hussein, who never smiles. Okay, sorry, I'm going off script. What's your name?
I'm Suryani from UCYP University, Kuantan.
Okay, what do? You're a lecturer? Or you're a student?
Yeah, half.
PhD?
Coming.
Coming. Okay. Because you're wearing red and you have a nice smile, would you like a free ticket?
Of course.
Okay. Maranti can't do this. I can. Where would you like to go?
Wow.
Alostar?
Tak mau lah, Lusta.
Johor Bahru? Quick, you have 2 seconds. Decision now.
2 seconds.
Sorry? 1, 2. Otherwise, you're going to Alostar.
Sydney?
Huh?
Sydney?
Sydney. Okay, you can go to Sydney. You can go to Sydney.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Okay. But you have to do a video story for us. Tell us, and you have to meet Irene to discuss your PhD, our CEO. Okay, so you see the big boss there, Mariana. She will give you the contact, and you can go. Are you married?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3 husbands. Which one?
Only one.
Only one. You want to take him or don't want to take him?
Of course with him.
Doesn't sound real. Okay, you can take your husband.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Speak to Mariana. She's the boss, real boss. Okay, why do I do that? Because life's fun. You can do things, right? And you can make people happy. That's what we try to do at AirAsia. My number one priority is my staff. Why am I still doing this? Why am I still fighting? Is because I owe it to my all-stars, my 24,000 staff who've done an incredible job. So number one in your company is your asset. Your asset is your people. And always people say customers and all this thing. If you make your people happy, they'll make your customers happy. If your staff are motivated, they'll find a way through COVID, right? So that's the second lesson. Never give up, and most important, even though you're entrepreneurs and you're CEOs, you're nothing without the people behind you. That's your biggest asset. So, what did we do? We went from one company to seven companies. Is it 7? Yeah, 7. So rather than stand still, we looked at what we had in our data, we looked at what assets we had looked at what people we had, and while we couldn't fly, we created all these companies, right? Our biggest asset was our people. Our second biggest asset was our data. Now, 23 years ago when I started this business, I didn't know about Rais Hussain and data and all these other things. I just always wanted a connection with my customers, right? Whether you like me, don't like me, attack me on Instagram, you know, whack me on Facebook, you could do it. I'm transparent enough, right? I don't hide behind some spokesman. We're there. We're always accountable, right? And so I wanted that relationship, and that's why social media was so important to me. And by having that, I kept all this data for 23 years, which is now incredibly valuable. I didn't foresee this data revolution. I just wanted to have the connection with the customer. I didn't want my customers to go through travel agents or middlemen. I wanted to have the relationship. That's paid off tremendously because we have a huge amount of data that has enabled us to create these companies. So I'll go through one by one to show how you can innovate within your own system. You know, how we've gone from it, and no one's done this, and most people thought I was crazy, and now every airline, from Delta to Qantas to everyone is calling me, trying to understand what we've done, right? So first, cargo. We never had a cargo airline, but we had people couldn't fly. So we took all our seats off the planes and turned them into cargo planes. And that has become a phenomenal business that we kept it after COVID, and created a company called Teleport, which in the past 2 years, just 2 years, with the use of data science, with the use of great people, we've gone from 0 to just 3 weeks ago, we overtook Singapore Airlines as the #1 air cargo provider in Southeast Asia. Just in 2 years, you know. We've now got our own freighters, you know, and it was disastrous in the beginning because we just didn't know this business. You know, we were shipping live crabs to Hong Kong, but we did such a bad job. By the time they got to Hong Kong, they were all dead, right? So this was how bad it was in the beginning. But you learn, and we've taken over. And now we have 3 businesses within this. We didn't stand still with air cargo. We've gone into e-commerce. And now we're one of the biggest suppliers for Shopee and Temu and all these other, you know, Lazada, etc. And we've gone from 0 to, by next year, we'll be doing 5 million parcels a day, which is amazing from where we were. And in the third business, I think courier is so expensive. I think most of you, it's too expensive, it's hard, it's complicated. So we're creating our own courier service. And we've just started, and we're doing really well in Singapore, and we're opening up in Thailand. So we're going to compete with DHL and FedEx. Not really compete. It's like AirAsia. AirAsia was never there to compete. AirAsia was there to, when I started this airline, and this is what you've already got to look at when you look at your businesses. I saw a statistic that only 6% of Malaysians flew. So I thought, wow, I've got 94% that I can attract this market. So when you're starting a business, you've got to see what is the market, what is the business opportunity, are you the first in the market? And so we were the first low-cost carrier. Of course, there are many others, right? Every animal has named a low-cost carrier. There's lions, there's tigers. In Malaysia, we have insect, firefly. The worst name for a brand, because firefly is the shortest living insect in the insect kingdom. So you got to be careful when you choose a brand. So, you know, we see this opportunity in the courier business that only 3% of people use courier services. And if we can make it as accessible and as affordable as flying, we'll create a whole new business and we'll create a whole new group of e-commerce people. So if you were just selling your products in KL, we want you to sell it all over the world by making logistics simple and affordable. And so my life has all been about inclusivity, making, you know, now everyone can fly was the tagline I came up with. Making everything inclusive is what I want to do. So that's what we're doing in Teleport. Then we stripped out our engineering company and thought, wow, we've had the lowest cost airline. Let's give our services to other airlines. Now that was really tough for my board and my people. But I said, hey, why not? So we created ADE. And ADE has just built the largest hangar, and we did this during COVID, in Southeast Asia. And without doubt in my mind, this is all a group of young Malaysians, really smart. They've used blockchain, they've used predictive maintenance. We've built algorithms that GE and Honeywell are now using for predictive maintenance. We've built our own blockchain. We are inspecting planes with drones. And so we're 3 days faster than the best MRO in the world. And when you have 250 planes like us, 3 days faster means you have an extra 750 days of flying, which is an extra 150 million ringgit of revenue. So of course everyone is using ADE now. And this is just done by smart people, giving them a chance to be the best. And they built a spare parts blockchain, etc. So ADE is a company that I have no doubt, born in Malaysia, that will be the best in the world. I have absolutely no doubt. And if you have a chance, you should go and visit them in Sepang. It is an incredible company. Then we took our food, right? I mean, you know, you fly on Singapore Airlines, it takes you 2 years for them to lay the table out. The food's done by some French chef. I just wanted to give functional food, right? So we created nasi lemak and chicken rice and all these things. So during SARS, COVID, we opened restaurants because we didn't know what else to do. And again, I just want to hang on a little bit, it's in my presentation later, But branding is really important. Malaysian companies do not spend enough on branding, right? And you'll see it later on my slide. No one in the airline business brands their food. It's just in-flight menu. I created a brand, and once you create a brand, you can then extend the brand. So now Santan is selling food to KK Mart, to Zeus, to KTM. It's becoming a contract caterer. And so from an airline manufacturer, we've become a food services company. And they've got a fantastic joint venture with a Chinese company in making freeze-dry coffee. And so we will be just like any other food company. And maybe we'll go back into restaurants, but very much B2B. So that's because Santan built a brand, we can extend. So third lesson out here for all of you entrepreneurs is you've got to put some money into a brand, right? Finally, very controversial, we took our website, and this has caused a lot of fighting within my own company. We took our website and I created it into an OTA. Because many of you are not buying from airline websites anymore. You are going to Trip or Traveloka or Booking, etc., right? So I told my staff, if we stand still, every year we're going to lose customers. So I created a separate company, took our website, and made it into an OTA. And I'm very emotional because our competitors are being sold on the same website. So you come into AirAsia Move, you'll see MAS, you'll see Lion Air, etc. But now my staff are beginning to see the value of it. So sometimes you've got to really disrupt. And that's the fourth lesson. I'm a disruptor. It upsets many people because we Malaysians like to just do the same thing over and over. But if you're not prepared for change management, you'll die. You think of some of the greatest companies. For the older people here, we all grew up with Nokia phones. It's gone. Kodak cameras, gone. Right? BlackBerry. BlackBerry was like my life. Gone. Right? So if you don't innovate and change, if you're not prepared to take a risk, you will die. Simple as that. And so AirAsia Move was a big risk, caused a lot of problems, but is going to be a very powerful OTA going forward. And then we've created, this is I'm most excited about, and I'll probably be the chairman of this company, is to make banking inclusive. It's tough for young people to get loans, so we created Big Pay. When you travel, credit card companies charge you a lot on interest, on exchange rate. So we created Big Pay. With no money, we now have 2 million customers, and we have a license in Thailand and Singapore. And so I put my rewards company, because rewards is like cash. We have 33 million members, and we're putting it all together. The last bit is a dream. It's not actually true. I might try and put our insurance company together, but that's a separate company completely. So I want to make finance inclusive and accessible and easy. Easy as flying on AirAsia. 2 minutes to get a loan, and we're just going to announce our loan product very soon. And I really don't want to charge people crazy amounts of interest rate, right? So 2 minutes to get your loan approved, give you good wealth management services, easy remittance. And I'm really a big believer in QR code and transferring money so we can avoid bank rails. So if you have a Big Pay account in Malaysia and your friends in Big Pay Singapore, you'll soon be able to transfer money between the two at the cheapest rate and the best exchange rates, right? And then we're trying to make rewards. We want to tokenize it, and one day we may make it into a coin and use that as an ASEAN currency, because to avoid exchange rates, etc. When you're flying around Asia, we want the AirAsia token, or whatever we call it, to be a stable coin that can be used with no loss of exchange rate, because I think many of us lose. So really, and then last one is we created a brand company. We took our brand, all these years we built brands, and now we're licensing our brand. So there's going to be AirAsia Hotels, a big hotel company wants to license our brand. A big luggage company has licensed our brand, AirAsia Luggage. Because if you put AirAsia in front of your brand, people know what it is, because we spent 23 years. They know it's low cost, they know it's inclusive, they know it's efficient, etc., right? If you put Rais Hussein in front of your brand, it's going to cost billions to tell everyone what that brand is. Maybe lots of billions, because he's very complicated and talks in words that most people don't understand because he's very smart. And finally, we built an academy, which Irene has done, which I'm really proud of, which all of you should check out. It's about making education inclusive. So it's a tech academy. We partnered Google, and we've taken some of our boys and girls who were carrying bags, who are now data scientists. We did this during COVID because we had to pivot, because we didn't have enough tech people. And my pilots and engineers and cabin crew were all sitting on the ground doing nothing. So we set up this academy to reskill them and retrain them. And Irene has done a phenomenal job. It was called AirAsia Academy, but then everyone thought it was just Pilot Academy, so she renamed it to Outclass. So that's what we did in the 5 years. And COVID has been with us 5 years, 2020, 21, 22, 23, 24. We're still in COVID because we haven't got all our planes back. Bringing back 250 planes is a massive job. But I think in 25, we'll be probably out of it, but we've gone from 1 company to 6 companies. So rather than go bankrupt, we've saved the airline, but we created, 5 other great companies. So how did we get there? I've kind of said most of this already. Great people. We have an amazing culture. 23 years, we haven't had one union. We've got no industrial action. There isn't one day that there's been industrial action in AirAsia. Our neighbor airlines around Asia have about 40 unions and many industrial actions. We've not had one day, right? And it's a culture that believes anything is possible and pushes the envelope and is willing to change. And not easy when you have 24,000 staff. As I said, even though there was a lot of unhappiness at creating AirAsia move, everyone has accepted it now, okay? And we always innovate. And innovate's not just about technology, it's about how we manage our people. I carry bags. I am a cabin crew once in a while. I don't do it so often because now, it causes pandemonium and people want to take pictures, etc. But I don't think you can be an effective leader unless you go down to the ground and are prepared to do what your staff do. I can do everything. I can fly a plane. I don't, and you don't want me to, but I know how to. I can change a wheel on a plane. I know everything about the engine. The hardest job in AirAsia is actually checking in. That's the toughest job in AirAsia. Making chendol on a plane, I can do it. But you cannot be an effective leader unless you're willing to do that. And so innovation for me is, we don't have offices. I just have a desk in AirAsia. I dressed up today, not because of you guys, because I have to see the Minister of Finance after this and ask him for some money. Otherwise, I would have been wearing a T-shirt and jeans. If you wear a suit, you put a distance between you and your staff. If you look worse than your staff, they feel comfortable talking to you, right? Causes problem in Malaysian airports, but sometimes they think I'm an illegal Bangladeshi immigrant that's just dumped off the plane, but it's okay. And innovation is also roots. It's not just technology. How you manage people, how you choose your market. So flying to Nairobi, no one's ever done it from Malaysia. Flying to Bandung, I used to record dangdut music there. I am actually the dangdut king, right? Emelina, everyone. All my music was innovation. I did Nasheed. No one did Nasheed before me. I did Raihan, right? If you remember Raihan. I shipped out 200 units. Everyone laughed at us, but we ended up selling 2 million units. And not just the Muslims. Everyone bought it. It was great music, and it was the #1 album in Indonesia. So innovation is about doing things differently, not just technology. Going to places no one else goes to, giving food, allowing our cabin crew to wear their hair how they want, both men and boys, allowing people to be themselves, allowing people to dream. There were no female pilots in Southeast Asia before AirAsia. I said to my chief pilot, why are there no female pilots? And he came up with a reason that can never be repeated in public. And I said, if a woman can run a country, she can certainly fly a plane. And now we have the most female pilots of any airline in the world as a percentage of our pilots, you know? That's just common sense, but it's also innovation. Why cut out 50% of the population, right? Makes no sense to me. So innovation is not just about technology. It's how you manage your company, it's how you look at your business, it's product, etc. And finally, as I mentioned, branding and marketing. So, you know, here are great examples. Coogan was a dispatch rider. And we've allowed, I said, I don't care. I had a good education. I didn't use it much, but I was sent to good schools, right? But a lot of Malaysians and Southeast Asians didn't have money for further education. So my goal is to give everyone a chance. If you want to be the best, come to AirAsia, and I'll turn you from a raw diamond to a diamond. And so we have Coogan, who's about to become a captain. You join AirAsia to be, it was his birthday yesterday, to be a dispatch rider, and you're going to be a captain. Ramp officer, as I said, to become a data analyst. You know, cabin crew, she was Miss Thailand, actually, who is now a flight instructor and cabin crew. We have hundreds of examples of people who joined us. You know, a cabin crew who's now CEO of Singapore. So anything is possible in AirAsia. If you want to be the best, you can, right? And all my CEOs of Teleport and Move have all come up within the organization. Actually, Move hasn't, but most of them have come up from within the organization. That's our office. You know, I put that gap in the middle. Most companies wouldn't allow it, because it's a waste of space. You could have more floor space. There was a big argument with my board. But I said, I want everyone to see everybody. And this place in the middle is where we have our town halls, which I do regularly. We're very transparent, where everyone eats together, people can sleep there, do anything. So this area in the middle is the most important. So that's innovation. Our office is really innovative. We have hairdresser, we have kindergarten for single parents, we have laundry, we even have a dog house for the abandoned dogs. And so this is really unique. And so you can have a standard office, or you can utilize your space to be a place where people dream and innovate and are excited to go to work. I want people to be excited to go to work. If you're not excited about going to work, if you have no passion, I'm getting 50% of you, right? So that innovation goes all over, right? We're very open. We're very communicative. That's Mariana's job, is to, sometimes I'm too open, and she tells me I have to control what I say. So whenever she's sitting in front of me here, I watch what I say, because I'll be told off. There was a time where I didn't care. But I'm older now, and I have a head of communications who looks at me like, shut up. And I shut up. Okay? That's our culture. We spend a lot of time on this, and Mariana's head of this. You know, everyone talks about branding, as I have, but if you don't have internal branding, forget it. If your own staff don't understand what your mission is, how can you sell it outside? So we spend a lot of time educating people on our brand. And I won't go through it, but it's simple, it's clear, all stars know what their role in life is. We spend a lot of money on branding, and it's fantastic looking at these pictures, because I'm on my way, unlike Reyes, to be slim, and next time I take my shirt off, everyone will see a six-pack. I'm on my way. The final challenge in Tony Fernandes' life. But we spend a lot on branding, and accountants don't understand, and I'm an accountant. They think, oh, you spend money, where's the return? The fact that we did all this, people stayed with us after COVID. People stayed with us after we owed people $1 billion in refunds, but we paid back. with no government help, by the way, zero. We did this all by ourselves. My sister airline, next door, Malaysian Airlines, has received 43 billion ringgit since we've been in operation. We've done it all ourselves without any taxpayers' money, right? And people, you asked me to talk about sustainability. You know, at this point I agree with Donald Trump. Do things that make a difference. Sustainable aviation fuel is dumb. It's not going to make any difference. 1-2% putting into a plane will not make a difference. So we do things that are real. We have electric vehicle to push back our tractors. We are working with DCA or CAM to make sure when you land quickly, as opposed to circling around the sky or a long time to take off. We have sustainable material. We have to do something. This is where I disagree with Mr. Trump. There is a problem. Weather has changed. We have so many delays now because of weather. It is really a problem for us. And so we all have to do something. And we're looking at carbon credits, you know, and that carbon credits is we will charge you something, but that money will go into projects which will soak up carbon. We have to do something, but sustainable aviation fuel doesn't work. But we all of us have a responsibility, and our biggest job is to educate all of you that, you know, we have to do something. The world is changing. My words. You know, I go to some countries in ASEAN and it's 50 degrees. I was in Cambodia, it was 50 degrees. I felt like I was in the Sahara Desert. So global warming is here and we all have to do something. And we're doing our bit. Aviation contributes 3% of carbon emissions. The food industry, the beef industry, and the farming industry contributes 20%. If we all ate plant-based food, carbon dioxide would be a lot less, just to let you know, okay? And I mean, electric cars are great, but where does the power come from? If you're getting electricity from a coal-fired plant, that's a problem, right? So sustainability is important, but I think governments really need to think about what makes a difference and not just follow blindly the West, right? I think Europe is crazy, and Singapore has copied 100%, forcing airlines to put 1% of sustainable aviation fuel, which costs 4 times more, makes no sense. So I urge Maranti and everyone to educate, to make sure we make proper policies that will make a difference. And sustainability is not just the carbon. We got to protect our environment. We bring 1 million tourists into an island, we can destroy the island as well. You know, we got to stop human trafficking. There's so many other, and sustainability is about us surviving our business. If we didn't survive, if we're not sustainable, 23,000 jobs gone, and 400,000 people that rely on AirAsia for tourism, gone. So sustainability is not just about the environment. Yeah, this is my pet hate, SAF. And Airbus and stuff are working on hydrogen, electric planes. We're actually a partner of a company that's making electric planes. You can have all the cooking oil in the world, which is the feedstock for SAF, will only contribute 2%. So, you know, it makes no sense. And this is the danger of sustainability, that people do things without fully thinking. So I'm 4 minutes 57 ahead of longer than I should have talked, so I'm slightly delayed, unlike AirAsia, which is never delayed. So, well, we're delayed once in a while. But, you know, Mavcom, an organization I don't like, voted us the #1 on-time airline. So because we're so transparent, people will always talk about it, but we really do an amazing job, because to keep fares low, we fly 14 hours a day and there's no break, 25 minutes. Because the more you use a plane, I can give you a cheaper fare. Okay, and I'm determined. Fares have gone up because they were too low, but they're not going up anymore. And we'll continue to drive fares down as much as possible. Thank you. Enjoy Sydney. Thank you for inviting me. Please fly on AirAsia and enjoy your conference.
Thank you once again, Tan Sri Tony Fernandes, for joining us. And we'd like to invite everyone to take a quick moment to scan this QR code, to give us your feedback, and tell us how we can improve that session. I think a Sydney giveaway is very hard to top. As we reset the stage for the next session, we do look forward to your questions, because the next session will have room for interaction, and we do appreciate if you could get your questions in. But if you do have the opportunity to ask questions to our speakers and moderators, please do kindly ensure that your questions are short and sweet in the interest of time. Please hang on tight, ladies and gentlemen. Our next session is just minutes away. All right, ladies and gentlemen, our next session will be a power talk, and being a bridge from research to real-world impact. That bridge is innovation. Our next session will be focusing on Innovation Office as innovation engine, transforming research to fuel business-centric growth. I'd like to invite Professor Dr. Hamid Motagi, Professor of Business Technology Management, University of Quebec, and we have Ahmad Shahrir, who is the Head of Strategic Policy at Meranti, who will be moderating this conversation. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our speaker, Professor Dr. Hamid Motagi, and moderator, Encik Hamid Shahrir.
All right. Thank you so much, Terence. Okay, Assalamualaikum and good morning, everyone. Welcome to the second session of Day 2 at iNation Global Summit 2024. My name is Ahmad Shahrir from Meranti, and I will be your moderator for this session. Okay, with the title, Transforming Research to Fuel Business-Centric Growth, this session promises to provide insight, practical strategies, and a glimpse into research that bridges the government, academia, industry, and society, the quadruple helix. Whether you are an entrepreneur, a policymaker, or an academic, there's something here for everyone to take away. So the session today, we will have three segments. The first segment will be Dr. Hamid presenting his slides. There will be about 10 slides or so. And then there's a very important video that Dr. Hamid actually wants us to view. And then after the video, we'll have a short conversation, and we'll be opening the floor for some Q&A from the audience also. So we have about 35 minutes. So with today, I'll just do a quick introduction of Dr. Hamid. So Dr. Hamid Motagi, an Associate Professor of Business Technology Management at the University of Quebec, and Managing Director of the International Entrepreneurship Knowledge Hub a collaborative research initiative with McGill University. With his extensive experience in academia and research, his work focuses on innovation, creativity, and the internalization of firms, especially in cultural and ethnic entrepreneurship. Dr. Hamid holds advanced degrees in engineering and business from a prestigious institution in France and Canada, and has been teaching roles at UQAM, HEC Montreal, and Lawrence Technological University. His main research are, again, innovation, creativity and cultural industries, and the role of technology, ethnic entrepreneurship, and internalization process of firms. So I think I'll pass the floor to Dr. Hamid for his presentation.
Thank you very much. Salamat pagi, good morning, bonjour. Thank you very much for inviting me, Meranti. Merci de m'avoir invité. So I'm going to talk about, I'm going to talk about, I'm coming an academic, I'm coming from totally, academic perspective. But we thought of, there is a gap between academy and what we see in the real practice. So we started to study, education from real practice and real case studies. And we started with, triple helix, so industry, governments, and university collaboration. So academia, it's driving research. It is about knowledge creation. It is about human capital. And industry, we are talking about applying this research, finding creation of the value and also capture of the value, and product and services and technology. Government, establishing the policies, establishing the funding, regulatory bodies. And the core idea is actually the interaction between these three avenues. So the key dynamic would be, for example, the knowledge spillover, universities as a hub for cutting-edge ideas and skill of graduates. Policymaking, it's about government and catalyzing the innovation through incentive and frameworks. And of course, commercialization. Often the time, in an academic world, we are missing what is happening in the industry. So we thought of, fostering and bridging this gap between the industry and academy and bringing the real world of practice to us. So we thought of, bringing in a fourth dimension, a fourth component, which we call it adding a network. So a network of recognizing and influencing of networks from NGOs, from civil society, from social networks, in order to amplify the processes and broaden the stakeholders, enhancing the collaboration, creating stronger ties between these two traditionally separate entities. And of course, inclusive innovation between the actors. So the impact on innovation would be basically civic participation, so communities influence relevant and social and acceptance of innovation, and cross-border collaboration. I'm coming from a very big country, but very small country. A very big country in terms of surface, but a very small country in terms of population. We are approximately more or less the same population as you guys in Malaysia. So about approximately we are 39, 40 million inhabitants. And approximately all of us, we are living 100 kilometers away from the US border. So a cross-border collaboration is very much important. And of course, by all means, after the pandemic, there's two worlds. There are two worlds, the world of before pandemic and the world of after pandemic, with collaboration, the social media, and so on and so forth. So for us to narrow down this gap of business, academic, and industry and academic collaboration, at the time when I was doing my postdoc at McGill University, we started to look at real case studies. Often the time in our business schools, when we go to business schools, we get the cases from basically Ivy Business School, Harvard Business School. There are fantastic case studies, but they are XYZ cases. So the company is XYZ Inc., and so we thought of, looking at it a little bit different, bringing the industry to our universities and vice versa. So we started to capture, document, film, real audiovisual case studies. Real audiovisual case studies from entrepreneurs that are coming from Canada, and they are born global companies. So we document their entrepreneurial journey from their earlier stage going to international, and also their local and international challenges. And of course, preparing the internationalization process. That's a very important thing. As I said, Canada is a small country in terms of population, so often the time, companies, especially SMEs, which is about 53–54% of the GDP, they need to go international. There's no way for the existential purposes. So we did actually apply for funding. We got a funding from the federal government, and we studied 16 audiovisual case studies plus 15 specialized case studies that are film and documentaries available for all of you, all of us internationally. It's a public money. It's available for all of us to see what are the challenges of this journey of internationalization. Plus 14 written case studies. So this was, from various industries. We're talking about the high-tech industry, the e-commerce industry, the biotech industry, the fintech industry, sustainable development, entrepreneurial ecosystem. We have approximately 4 cases on entrepreneurial ecosystem. Tourism and culture, game industry as one of the clusters in Montreal, and digital technologies. So if you look at our website, IE Knowledge Hub, International Entrepreneurship Knowledge Hub, practically you see all of these case studies, like for example, the case of Bon-Luc. It's a born global company. A lady graduated from McGill University. At the time when she graduated from McGill University, she was selling the eyewear glasses, prescription eyewear glasses. 85% of their market is international. 85%. They sold to almost everywhere. And that is very much interesting. A spin-off from photonics from university, and C2MI. C2MI, I'm going to talk about it a little bit later. It's about a collaborative case that is fostering the collaboration between university and industry. And then afterwards, we started to see, we started 2012, 2013, so we said that we're going to go further and see what are other cases and so on and so forth, and what they have done after a while. So we started to do podcasts. So far, we have conducted approximately 25 podcasts of afterwards, what the companies they have promised and what they have done. So we look at the podcast. Recently, 2023 and 2024, we started to see bilingual case studies, in French, in English, regional case studies. Entrepreneurship is about the culture. It's about the culture of where you are and where you are going. So it's important to understand the culture of the regions. And we studied, cases from regions of Outaouais and the regions of Laurentide in northern part of Montreal, which is a cluster by all means of biotechnology. So I'm going to talk about one of the cases. It's very interesting, and it would resonate to what you have in Malaysia, Admiralty, and that's the case of C2MI. It's actually a model of collaboration between the government, industry, and academic collaboration. Established in 2009 in the city of Bromont, which is the largest by all means of microelectronic research and commercialization center in Canada, funded and supported by the federal government and the provincial government of Quebec. So we're talking about approximately more than $218 million. The core objective was to develop the next generation of microelectronics prototype, collaboration, linking the university, industry leaders and governmental bodies, and commercialization from the acceleration from the market-driven towards the solution for healthcare, for aerospace industries, and telecommunication. And the success model has been fabulous. It's actually combines the state-of-the-art of infrastructure with cutting edge and promotes R&D and more than 750 researchers and creating more than 3,000 jobs. So why network is important? Network is an extension of collaboration. Network is an extension of foster of cross-collaboration between the members. So one of the founding fathers of this C2MI is Teledom, Dalsa, and IBM, and building partnership across national internationalization, strengthening the synergies with partnership with universities, with partnership with industry players, and also focusing on sustainability. And being actually, a city of Vermont is a very approximate between Boston, Montreal, and Toronto. So it's very close by for them to navigate and go around in this area. It's an economic growth for SMEs and microelectronics. It's a technological advancement. And you see, for example, up there, it's city of Vermont is where the C2MI is next to University of Sherbrooke, next to Quebec City, next to Montreal, and Ottawa, Toronto, and of course, Boston and Albany. So it's about technological demonstration, product development, and manufacturing demonstration. When we see, for example, 33,000 jobs has been, in this corridor of these big cities. And this is about the integrated supply chain management that they have with the Canadian universities and also international universities and international centers. And so once again, it's about discussion about this integrated supply chain management that they have, from electronic components to embedded systems to innovative products to the market. And if you look at the number of universities that are collaborating with this C2MI, it's just fabulous. It's about McGill University, McMaster University, University of Laval, Toronto, U Ottawa, Sherbrooke University, and so on and so forth. And the bassin of companies that are happening are very much important. So let's have a look to this case study. It talks a lot by itself. And it's a video that we conducted with C2MI, and it talks about this interesting microelectronics center fabrication.
Pace of innovation is very important. So we needed to have an infrastructure and an ecosystem that would ease the development and accelerate the development in order to be successful in the marketplace. The value proposition of C2MI is, to a certain extent, very simple. Shortening the development cycle by bringing to the table the skills, the competency needed, a full ecosystem, where by doing links between their needs and the product offering that others are bringing to the table, they'll be able to accelerate their product commercialization.
The technology we have is a micro-optical switch. The micro-optical switch can be integrated in your router to improve the speed at which the information is transported across the internet to your home. In the same way, the optical switch is small enough that it can be integrated inside a data center to switch on optical signals instead of electrical signals, as is currently the case.
We have members that are coming to C2MI with that great idea, but what they need in order to be successful in the marketplace is a lot more than only an idea. And when we take a look at these brand new companies that are bringing these new ideas to the market, the first question we always ask is, do you have a market study? Do you have a business plan? And if they don't, we will be supporting these studies for them in order for them to be successful. You just cannot enter a market without knowing what the market is all about and if there's a chance for your product to be successful. University of Sherbrooke, they are responsible to find the competency, the skill that we need within the overall Canadian academia network. Every time that I have a partner that is looking for some specific item, they go and get that skill, being in Waterloo, being in McGill, and they're responsible as well to have these international links. So now we have links with Europe, CNRS, which is in Paris, CNR, which is in Italy, and we're building other links like that in the States with Albany Nanotech, looking at Georgia Tech. So we're working with all the largest players in the industry. Why? Because we are global. Market is global. Partners are located anywhere around the world, and our role is really to find the right partner for the right project.
The reason why Teledyne DASA decided to engage in the C2MI is that in our industry, it's very capital intensive. So the equipment that we use costs millions and millions of dollars each. So in order to be competitive, we have to have access to those environments where you can do advanced R&D, and very often in collaboration. So that was what was lacking here in Canada. Of course, you know, there's always a way for us to go do our R&D somewhere else in the world. But very often what happens is that production will follow very, very closely. So chances are that eventually you will lose your manufacturing industry because, you know, if you do R&D in Taiwan, it's very likely that you will do manufacturing in Taiwan.
In a lot of cases, the C2MI will act as the relationship creator between the startup and a company like IBM. Since we have dedicated equipment and have those competencies to do things right the first time, this might be a big advantage for them in a time-to-market environment. We're all efficient, and we can develop in a manner that allows them to have their product in the marketplace as quickly as possible.
Teledyne DASA knows exactly what to do, and they can deliver to us the product. IBM knows exactly what they have to do in terms of the packaging. You got to fit to their processes, because if you do that, at the end, you know you'll be ready for mass production. If a startup comes to the C2MI and has been able to prove his concept, build prototype using equivalent of their industrial lines, for them it seems, wow, here's a very good customer for myself, because I know I'm capable to build their product.
The environment that is available in C2MI is amazing for many reasons. One of them is really the fact that people are talking to each other. Even though they're not in a business relationship, they're going to help each other. And that was the major surprise that I had. I really thought that based on my past experience in the industry, we had these secrets. But I think we are at the stage now that people see these other corporations not as being a threat, but becoming an opportunity.
It's much easier for us to collaborate in such an open environment rather than collaborate in our own where we have some constraint. You know, we cannot bring anybody in because we have product running for several customers. So it's, you know, it's quite convenient for us.
Prior to the creation of the C2MI, our situation was that we were essentially sharing the equipment with the manufacturing area to produce the work that we had to do for R&D. So in a lot of cases, manufacturing needs took priority over longer-term development needs. So in a sense, it was always a bit of a struggle to get the necessary time on the equipment to do the development work. So by creating this environment in which the equipments are essentially dedicated to development, it essentially created an environment that was much more efficient for us to do all the work that we had to do. So all the equipment can be used 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, for development work.
So this is one of the cases that we have in terms of the collaboration between the universities and academia, academia and the industry. So the international entrepreneurship drives the robust and collaborative framework of Triple Helix. And it's about the key to scaling up startups, enabling and competitiveness. And it's a unique platform, to be honest with you, fostering the collaboration of education and entrepreneurship, especially international entrepreneurship. A series of recommendations that we have from these cases is actually leverage the ecosystem support and resources. Focus on export readiness. That's basically what we have in Canada. Companies that are born global, from incentive, from a startup, they go international because we don't have that much of customers anyway. And of course, adapt the digital tools and strengthen the regional network, promote diversity. If you look at, like for example, in GTA, the Greater Toronto Area, more than 52.3% of the Canadian residents of the Greater Toronto Area are not even born in Canada. So, and majority of them are actually doing international and also international entrepreneurship. So integrate knowledge hub platforms. Policymakers increase the funding, allocate more resources, and also support the ecosystem synergy and enhance the talent development, which is very much important. So thank you very much, and thank you very much for being here. Thanks to my colleague from University of Malaya to join us this morning, and our partners. Merci beaucoup.
All right, thank you, Dr. Ahmed. We still have some conversation with Doctor, and if the audience has any questions, please be ready. You can use the mic on the left and right-hand side of the hall. Okay, Dr. Ahmed, so I would like to start with the success of C2MI and the collaboration model. So can you please share with us what are the key factors behind C2MI's success in integrating research, development, and commercialization? Secret recipe.
I would say the secret recipe is the proximity of, the C2MI is just next door is university. When they go inside and if they have any problem, they can find the expert from universities. And University of Sherbrooke, which is one of the highest top talent in university in Quebec, They are mandated, if they don't find the experts in the university, in their own university, they go and find the experts in the Canadian universities and also international universities based in the US, majority of them. That's number one. The second is that, in terms of the infrastructure, it's about an interesting infrastructure. Micro manufacturing, it's very costly. And if you want to do microelectronics, it's very costly. So you need to have governmental bodies behind of it and policies behind of it. So government has spent a huge amount of money in creating this infrastructural support for this manufacturing. Because often the time, these companies, if they do their prototyping in Taiwan, they will do their manufacturing in Taiwan, and they are not coming back. So if they do their prototyping in Canada, there are chances that they will stay in Canada and North America as well. And also the proximity in terms of the distance is very much important. Approximately 300 kilometers from Boston. And Boston, if you look at the Boston metropolitan, it's about 50 universities and colleges. Montreal, it's about 10 universities and colleges. It's about like 100 kilometers away from Montreal, like 500 kilometers away from Toronto. So it's a hub of this microelectronics in terms of the proximity. They can have access to experts.
Okay, all right. Okay, Dr. Hamid, building on your comment on the equipment. So in the video, I think it was mentioned that you have about 15,000 square foot of equipments. Can you elaborate more? So who maintains the equipment, and how do you make sure that it's up to date? Equipments come out very often.
Absolutely. So, there are two governmental agencies in terms of the funding in Canada. So professors apply for the funding, that's number one, and it goes from the federal government and also from the provincial government. So part of this is actually on the infrastructural support. Part of it is actually from the infrastructural support. So universities, professors who actually know about top-notch of these infrastructures, they can actually spend part of this for the infrastructure, which goes and stays in C2MI.
All right.
Like, for example, the funding that we had, we spent almost $1 million on these video case studies.
Okay, yes.
And the rest of it, we have infrastructure that are available at McGill for the continuance of this project as well. So the infrastructure belongs to university, so it belongs to the C2MI as well.
Okay. So I also have this question. You talk about fostering collaborations between all the parties. So what are the challenges that CMMI has faced, and what did they do to overcome these challenges?
Well, one of the challenges is about, the challenges and also taking to the opportunities. Because C2MI is based in Quebec, so majority of them, they speak French, okay? So speaking French could be a challenge, but they make it to the opportunities as well. So you think two ways. You think in French and you think in English, and that will actually foster the collaboration as well. So you have also North African countries that are collaborating. You have the Europeans that are collaborating, especially with the NCERC and also with the CNRS in France, and they are collaborating with them. So these are very much interesting. And secondly, it's about the collaboration between universities which are actually far. So they mandated, as I said, University of Sherbrooke, which is just next door. If they don't have the expert at University of Sherbrooke, they go and find the expert at other universities across Canada and also across the United States.
So that's about collaboration between universities. So how do you make the industries, want to be part of this?
Well, one of the two founder members of this C2MI is IBM Canada and Teledyne.
That's the anchor, yes.
Absolutely, and there is an industrial park next door. It's about 3 kilometers away. And for them, startups, if they want to do micro-manufacturing, prototyping and trials and so on and so forth, they have IBM next door, which helps them for the commercialization as well. So you have two big players that have been, founding fathers or members of this umbrella of C2MI.
Okay, so is there any plans to add more anchors to this?
We did a podcast on them afterwards, a couple of years after, to see how they are collaborating. And it's been magnificent, actually, because they could get more funding of partnership in international organization with international universities as well. So this is, a pandemic was an unfortunate thing, but again was a fortunate thing for IT and telecommunication.
Okay, we have about 3 minutes. So if there are anyone who would like ask Dr. Hamid, maybe you can take 2 questions from the floor. Okay, all right. So I noticed that Prof, in your slides, in the video, also talks about inclusivity. Can you explain what this model and specifically what does the C2MI is doing in that?
Well, majority of graduate students in Canada, if you walk to my second floor of my university, which is a French-based university, majority of them are coming from not Canada. They are not Canadians. That's not Canadians. The majority of them are coming from international. We are a country that far from distance, but very close cognitively. I give you an example. In 2023, we had approximately 460,000 immigrants coming to Canada, 460,000 approximately. And majority of them are coming from Asia. Majority of them are coming from Asia. They're coming from India, they're coming from Pakistan, they're coming from Iran, they're coming from South Korea, they're coming from, name them. And they're coming from North African countries because of the French. So that is very interesting. So if you look at, 34% of the, companies in Canada, they are immigrant-based. So the CEOs are immigrants. And the word immigrant means that the gentleman, the lady is not born in Canada, all right? So that's very interesting. I'm talking about the cognitive distance. We are very close to Asia and to ASEAN countries in terms of the cognitive distance. And as I said, majority of graduate students are coming from outside of Canada and outside of North America, to be honest with you.
All right. All right. Dr. Hamid, I think that will be my last question. If we don't have any questions from the floor. Oh, are there? All right, sorry. Yes, sir.
My name is Saeed Abdurrahman. I'm a postgraduate student from...
I'm so sorry, can you come closer to the mic, please? Thank you.
My name is Saeed Abdurrahman, a postgraduate student from International Islam University, UAE. I'm from Nigeria. So you spoke about collaboration. So my simple question is, as an individual, how can somebody get your contact or contact of the school to explain and make a kind of contact with this kind of the presentation you have made?
Well, if I understand the question correctly in terms of the collaboration with the Malaysian universities and Malaysian policymakers, go to our website, ie-knowledgehub.ca. And also, I would like to extend the hand to Moranti and also to all of you here. Bring and do case studies, and we do it together, and we make it known to the world. And that is interesting, and we make it free available for the population. These case studies that we spent over about 12 years ago, over the past 12 years, are available free of charge for all of us to use and to know that what we do and how we do, this is one of the practices. There are other practices as well for internationalization. And internationalization, it's a challenge, and make it a challenge for opportunities.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Hamid. I think that's the time that we have for this session. Thank you so much, Dr.
Merci beaucoup. Thank you very much. Terima kasih.
Professor Dr. Hamid and Encik Ahmad Shahir, please kindly remain on stage, gentlemen. Gentlemen, please kindly remain on stage. We're going to quickly flash the QR code as usual. If you could take a minute or two, ladies and gentlemen, to scan the QR code and give us your feedback about the session. as we quickly reset. We're setting the stage for the next session, and that's really an interesting session that we've got up and coming. Now, Tan Sri Tony talked about COVID. One thing we can remember about COVID were the vaccines, how fast they were rolled out, and the technology that went into the invention of the vaccines. Of course, we've never heard of such speeds before. Now imagine if we had AI back then. I think the whole process would have been even faster. But nevertheless, when it comes to putting medicine into our bodies, we're ultra careful now, even more careful than we've ever been. And trusting the science, quote unquote, is not something that we can just use to shove solutions down people's throats. AI and pharmaceuticals, that's definitely something that we would love to pick apart in this next session. And I know you want to jump in on this as well. So I know you're going to be loaded with questions. We're going to hope that we have time for questions from the floor as we look at this key dialogue, artificial intelligence and drug discovery, a game changer. AI is already, as we speak, revolutionizing pharmaceuticals, pushing the boundaries of speed, efficiency, and accuracy in drug discovery. So what's that going to mean for the future of mankind? We have Dr. Muhammad Hazwan Mohamadaud, who is a head of life science at Meranti, and we are going to be joined by Professor Dr. Chi On Leong, founder and CEO, AGTC Genomics, Dr. Muhammad Nazri Kamal, Deputy Group Managing Director, Solutions Group Berhad, and Professor Dr. Vanajan Sangiran Lee, Head of COE, Quantum Information Science and Technology. So we'd like to invite everyone to kindly take their place on stage as we get set for this very interesting conversation. Doctor, I think you're going to have your hands full with this one. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome all our guests to the stage and our main speakers. Let's give them a round of applause as I hand the floor to Dr. Muhammad Hazwan Mohamadaud.
Assalamu alaikum and very good morning, everyone. So as mentioned by the MC, thank you, Mr. MC. We have a very interesting topic this morning. So we have explored the use of AI in basically a lot of industries. And this morning we are going into specific. We're going into the use or utilization of AI, artificial intelligence, in pharmaceutical, in particular the drug discovery and drug development process. Sorry. So I have with me basically a group of very prominent panels today. I have an expert in biologics, expert in quantum computing, molecular dynamics, simulation, expert in genomics. So let me give a brief introduction to each of them. First of all, on my right, I have Professor Dr. Chi On Leong, founder and CEO of HTC Genomics, with over 20 years of experience, including as a senior research fellow at Harvard University. Prof. Leong is a pioneer in cancer detection, rare disease diagnostic, and AI-driven personalized medicine. A recipient of multiple global accolades, for example, the Top Research Scientist Malaysia Award, is currently transforming healthcare through innovation. So please welcome Prof. Leong. Next, I have Prof. Vanajan from So we have a representative from academia this morning. Prof. Vanajan is basically a professor of chemistry with the University of Malaya and also the deputy head of QIST, Center of Excellence for Quantum Information Science Technology. Oh, that's quite a lengthy name. She's a renowned expert in molecular modeling and sustainable development. And she holds a PhD in pharmaceutical sciences and recently received the UNESCO Women of Influence for Science and Technology Award. That's a very prestigious award. Through her innovative research and platform like Mold Design, which is a platform that she developed to encourage molecular creators and innovators, Prof. Vanajan currently empower the next generation of molecular creators. Please welcome Prof. Vanajan. Thank you for joining us this morning. And the next figure is satu figure yang tidak asing lagi di biotechnology industry in Malaysia. We have Dr. Nazli Kamal, Deputy Group Managing Director of Solution Group Berhad and CEO of Solution Biologics. With over 30 years of experience, including leading roles in biotech policy, industry and academia, Dr. Nazli was instrumental in shaping a Malaysian national biotechnology policy back in 2005. A visionary leader and sought-after consultant, he has driven innovation across sectors and continues to shape the future of biotechnology. Again, please welcome Dr. Nazli. Thanks for joining us this morning, Dato'. So as I mentioned, we have a very interesting yet a specific topic of AI for drug discovery. So AI is not an alien in healthcare. It's been used for diagnostic. It's been used for treatment plans and all that. But this morning we are going to explore a very specific topic of using artificial intelligence in drug discovery. And this is definitely a game changer. So without further ado, let me start the session. So basically this morning we are going to cover three main foundations. Number one is the AI integration in drug discovery and development process. Number two, how AI can be leveraged through their utilization in pharmaceutical sciences to broadening access and competitiveness, thereby ensuring accessible and affordable drugs in the market. And finally, we have the ethical dilemma, the collaboration and ethical challenges with AI integration. So my first question is to Prof. Leong. Since 2015, actually, we have seen around 75 AI-discovered molecules enter into the clinical trial. We are talking about phase 1 and phase 2 globally. But yet, we haven't seen any of these AI-discovered molecules actually enter the market yet. So we have around 75, and 50% of those, almost 50% of those actually are meant for oncology. So they are meant for cancer therapeutics and all that. So my question is to Prof. Leong. AI is a game changer in understanding disease mechanism. How has it refined our ability to develop personalized treatment, and what recent advancement that excites you the most?
Okay, first of all, let me congratulate the organizer, to assemble such a wonderful event and also have the great speakers. So I think this makeup of the panel just continues a discussion previously about quadruplex and also triplex, basically. So we have someone from academic, from industry and policymaker, and I'm the one in transition between academics and industry. Now, to answer the question, so when we look at drug development, so it takes some time for the drugs to come out to the market. First of all, it is a lengthy process. It can take as long as 10 to 15 years to come out. It has to go through multiple phases. Now, whatever the AI drugs that is being designed is quite recent, so we won't be seeing this into the market probably in the next 5 or 8 years. But what makes the AI drug design very interesting is that it has improved dramatically the successful rate compared to when we do it in the old days. So a lot of the time it's based on wisdom, basically. Now with the AI that could help us to accelerate this process and to a certain extent to simulate the drugs before it enters into preclinical and also clinical study to anticipate what kind of toxicity it might have and also what kind of effectiveness and what are the target that they want to target, for example. I think this has been one of the revolutionary changes when it comes to a drug discovery and development. It lowered down the risk quite significantly, right? So I think when we move forward, as the world are now going to be exploded with more and more genomics data and other omics data, I think finding the target for other diseases will come very soon. So there will be new targets that will be discovered. In fact, we are now in the speed that discovering new targets is no longer an issue. So we have big data that many countries are started to generate for the past 10 years. We are talking about like the UK Biobank, we are talking about like all of us from US, and even Malaysia have embarked into our own My Genome study as well. And all these will fuel the industry and also the areas which will actually help to accelerate the target discovery and then bring this to the AI and also drug development.
Thank you, Prof. Basically, that's very insightful. So the key takeaways that we can take from that is basically AI is able to accelerate drug development. And also, based on the data that I have in my hand now, basically, adding the info into that, phase 1 trials for AI discovered molecule have shown a greater success rate between 80 to 90% compared to the traditional method of success between 40 to 65. So basically, AI is able to not just accelerate drug development, but increase the chance of success maneuvering around the phase 1 clinical trials. So because of this, I think it's one of the things that was mentioned by Prof. Leong as well is about how AI can be used to assess the toxicity and one of the important parameters in drug development is the efficacy of the drug itself. So to that, I would like to ask Prof. Vanajan, molecular dynamic simulation are critical in predicting drug efficacy. How do AI tools enhance the simulation to identify viable candidates before clinical trials?
Thank you very much, Dr. Haswan, for the introduction and extend my gratitude to the Emirati for having me here. It's a truly honor to be here to share my thought and my research. Yeah. So about my topics on molecular dynamics, I start to lose connection with the audience. So I would like to talk in a simple term as a computer-aided drug design. So basically, I start in 1994 in order to do the simulation of circle, square, sphere. Yeah. That time we were like don't know anything how the computer gonna do all this. Yeah, with the not single atom anything yet, just a sphere. Then from 1984 until now, how many years? 30 years, right? You can see the change a lot. Now you can think as the DNA, proteins. I would like to focus especially for the cancer because it's the thing that we need most now. It's complex, very complex, and then we cannot solve it yet. So now, from the computer-aided drug design to the molecular dynamics simulation, how do we do that? Now you start to see the DNA in the computers. The AI and molecular dynamics is like the play button to see the DNA moving, molecular movie of the DNA or protein target towards the drugs, and then show you if this drug works or not. Are you exciting with me? You can simulate with the pH in the body. Our body, 37, the temperature 37 degrees. What is the different pH in our body, and then the water. And then you can click play, and then can see the interaction of the protein dynamics with the drugs, and then make the prediction. And then it's very exciting even more because you have the chat GPT, right? And then now another AI tool that come into play very big role. And then we got the Nobel Prize 2023 is proteins, AI proteins we call AlphaFold. Okay? So for this, even though you don't get the real structure of the protein, target protein in all different cancer cells, different mutation, you will be able to predict from the 2D genetics or the 1D genetic information like protein sequence. And you'll be able to generate accurately with the AI tool, with the AlphaFold, for all the protein sequence, almost 100%. This is a powerful tool in order to make the prediction. If you want to repurpose drugs, or you want to reuse the natural products in order to target different protein mutation in the cancer, you'll be able to predict correctly what drug treatment to be good, specific for you, with the precision and personalized medicine. Exciting or not? It can be done, you know, because I can see the evaluation from the structure modification. That time I kind of like dropped down already. I cannot build many, you know, active molecule. It doesn't work because the funding is not enough to support the industry to push certain target of the drugs toward the industry. It's many players, US, UK, Japan, how Malaysia gonna do. You have to link with the partner. You like, okay, this drug cannot do everything active. But now, different things already. You do repurpose the drug with different mutation, or you use natural products in different mutation towards certain disease. For example, the cancer with different mutation. If you have the inherited gene, you already know that which drugs is suitable. Now the technology is until like this already. Okay.
Thank you, Prof.
We got a chance, yeah.
That's a very passionate answer, I would say. Yeah. I think, yes, basically from that, one of the key takeaways that we can get is AI is not just helping to simplify the process, but rather it's accelerate the entire thing as well. Because instead of using a traditional method, hit and miss, trial and error in the labs, now you can just sit in front of your computer doing all the simulations and molecular dynamic simulation, and basically from that, get the data and try it out. And from there, basically, you can skip a couple of processes from there instead of using a traditional method of you need to buy the chemical compounds and all that. So it's not just accelerating, but it's also simplifying and I would say reducing the cost of getting drugs to the market. So basically, talking about that, drug industry is not a very, I would say, it is a game of the richest. In order for you to push the drug to the market, it will cost billions of dollars, and sometimes it is 10 of years, basically, to complete all the phase 1 and phase 2 clinical trials. So traditionally, drug discovery, drug development is a game of for the richest. But as Tony Fernandes mentioned this morning as well, COVID-19 basically sort of has impacted us in a way that a lot of nations currently is focusing on pandemic preparedness. And when we talk about pandemic preparedness, of course, we will talk about vaccine. So when we talk about AI for drug discovery, we can use it for small molecules, we can use it for biologics or large molecule. And under that biologics or large molecule, we have one of it is vaccine. So I would like to, my next question is to Dr. Nazli. Of course, if it is vaccine related, it's Dr. Nazli. In terms of vaccine development, how can AI streamline vaccine development, especially in responding to pandemics and building our capacity for pandemic preparedness? And what role does it play in minimizing side effects of the vaccine?
Thank you, Dr. Azwan. Maybe some of you will be wondering, me and vaccine. Okay, so just want to relate some story about my experience, and then we'll see where AI can basically contribute to the development of vaccines. During the pandemic, my group managing director, Mr. Barry Lim, was saying, Nazli, I think we have to do vaccine. And I said, wow, I think it's interesting, but it is very difficult subject. Then he said, why not we link with one of the 3 players from China, which is CanSino, Sinopharm, Sinovac. And then I found my friend in CanSino. So I contacted him and we got connected. So that's where we getting into vaccine business and development. And I think when we started off, we were a young company. We started to form Solution Biologics way back in 2021. And I think but the magic word in terms of vaccine development is the acceleration, try to get to the end point. And it becomes a race. And of course, I think looking at the technology development those days during the pandemic, we can see that the US was talking about the Warp Speed project and then trying to speed up the development of the vaccine. And of course, there's a geopolitical tension during that time. and there's a lot of issues at hand, and how do we develop the vaccine in a very short time. We have experienced before H1N1 and all that, so sometimes what happened to us was we get the vaccine or the drugs, but then it passed the time when the crisis happening. So you have a very small time opening for you to develop the vaccine. And obviously, people are struggling to try to find a way to solve the problem. And they are also betting on technology. Those days, there is no AI during that time, and so AI is during the infancy time. And so CanSino was betting on the adenovirus platform. And Sinovac, Sinopharm was attenuated virus. And so Johnson & Johnson was working on another adenovirus, and the AstraZeneca and Oxford University was another adenovirus. And I have to equip myself with a bit more knowledge. And just imagine, we are a young company, and then we say, okay, the ministry was saying to us, well, if you can register the vaccine, then we can consider getting the vaccine into the Malaysian market. And so we trying to work out the dossier from CanSino to NPRA. Just imagine, we received 500 questions from NPRA. 500 questions we need to answer. And at that time, how to answer 500 questions, you imagine. But if I have an AI tool, probably I can shorten up the period. So that's the point that I'm trying to get through. And so for CanSino, I mean, in terms of the science, it was, they were lucky a bit on the point that there was this researcher, I think he was a lieutenant general or something from the Chinese biotech institute. They have developed Ebola at that time using the platform, and then they developed the coronavirus vaccine based on the same platform. But what I'm trying to say here is actually AI would definitely provide a big impact on the new vaccine development. And actually last year, CEPI, which is a coalition of epidemic preparedness innovations, have already started the development of AI with the Houston Methodist Research Institute. But I think there's a lot of room is available for us to start thinking about the application of AI in terms of creating the right target. The issue here, for example, the messenger RNA technology, you can see that the Pfizer development on the vaccine based on BioNTech, there was a lot of side effects. And so the development of the molecule for the target is going to be something that would be very crucial and important in terms of the development. And just for the last point, I would say that I'm a chess player. Any of you a chess player? Okay, good. Now, this year, chemistry Nobel Prize was given to Sir Dr. Demis Hassabis. So he's basically, sorry, Sir Demis Hassabis. So he's a chess player, and recently, I think during the World Chess Champion right now in Singapore, he was the one who made the first move. And you just imagine, he's not a chemistry major, but he was the one that developed the AlphaFold that won the Nobel Prize. And we hope by the development of AI and the understanding of the protein folding, that hopefully will develop more inroads to the development of a new vaccine. And we hope by doing that, we can then create a vaccine that will be like less side effects and more potent in the development. Thank you.
Thanks, Dato. That's very insightful. I heard that you mentioned that when you basically submitted your dossier to NPRA, there were hundreds of questions. So I would like to know if there's anyone from the regulator side here in this hall today. No? Okay. So let's try to flip the coin. Now AI is being used by the drug developer for drug discovery and drug development. So my question is still to Dato. How can regulators, NPRA for example, leverage on AI, maybe to streamline the approval process, maybe to expedite the regulatory approval and all that? Yeah, over to you, Dato'.
Thank you. I think there's a very important question here because, as you know, sometimes we as a company, when we submit a dossier for regulatory approval, they will say it will take 18 months for approval. And to us, 18 months is a very long time, I mean, trying to get it approved. But to understand the difficulty of evaluation of the dossier, and it will be like you have to sift through thousands of documents that is submitted. And the crucial point is that if you were to approve and somebody died, and so because of this, I think there's a lot of sense of responsibility for the drug authority to be able to sift through this. But the challenge for drug regulation authority will be experience. And I think this is going to be something that AI probably can provide some help. And I think one thing that even now FDA is already making some inroads using AI in terms of evaluation for biologics and drugs. And I think they're going to start very soon. They just announced in this year that they're going to start the inroad of using AI for evaluation, because I think it's not only Malaysia, but the rest of the world will face the same issue, especially when you come up with a new technology. Example that I can give would be cell and gene therapy, an area which is very new, and our authority definitely will have some issues in trying to approve this kind of treatment because of lack of experience, young probably officers who need to go through the document. So I believe AI, with the help of AI, it will be able to shorten up the period. But it's not only on the side of regulation, it's also for the company. In fact, for what we are having some difficulty in trying to submit our dossier will be the format. Now, let's say, for example, now I'm dealing with Cansino because now they are part of our company. And so our long-term relationship will be that they would like to use Malaysia as a hub to get their products out to the market. But then again, translating from NMPA document to the ASEAN Common Technical Dossier will take months. But I think with the help of AI, the change in format from whatever requirement, like say NMPA to ICH CTD or the ASEAN Common Technical Dossier probably will be lesser in terms of time. And also by the application of AI, it will also reduce some errors that we are having. Sometimes when we submit our dossier, that's the reason why we have 500 questions, and sometimes we have to reformat the document or the data. Data is not available, data is not sufficient. And so I think these are the key points that probably AI would be able to provide some answers in terms of efficiency, getting less error, and also for the regulatory authority to be able to sift through the document in a much faster rate. And we hope maybe Malaysia can start a project that we say that is a pilot project that will help our NPRA to be able to evaluate application in a much faster and orderly fashion. Thank you.
Thank you, Dato'. I think from Meranti sides, we would love to explore that in terms of utilizing AI for the regulators, and perhaps we'll explore the partnership with NPRA as well as one of the key takeaways from this station. So as mentioned by the three panelists just now, AI is also capable of reducing the cost of drugs development, hence making drugs more affordable and accessible to the mass. So I have a number of statistics here in terms of the number of scientific publications in AI. So number of scientific publications in regards to AI has reached its peak of 350,000 scientific publications in 2023. The number of AI in medicine was 190,000, the peak in 2021, and the number of scientific publication in AI-assisted material discovery has also been on increasing trend. Last year, it was around 1,200. So basically, right now, we have seen a great interest from the industry in this field, and also from academia as well in this area. and it has been quoted as AI is capable of leveling the playing fields in terms of drug discovery. So now it's no longer the game of the big pharmaceutical companies. Now there's a chance for smaller players as well to get involved in basically developing drug and pushing it to the market. So my next question is to Prof. Leong. AI is often seen as a tool for democratizing drug discovery. How can AI reduce barriers and also broaden access, especially for smaller players in the industry? And while we are on this topic, perhaps you can also elaborate on the use of AI for repurposing FDA-approved drug as well.
Right. That's a good question. So now, many years ago when I was doing a PhD, I think some of you probably will experience the same as well, is that when we want to look for papers, if we cannot find it in the library, we have to ask for something what we call interlibrary loan. I don't know whether you still remember that, right? So, and that takes 2 to 3 weeks to come with a hard copy paper. That was, previously, that was the past. Then the knowledge economy have moved it into all the publication now into online that is searchable with Google, but still you need to know what you are searching for. You need to sift through all the information, and that even it helps you to shorten the time, it still takes a lot of effort to go through it. Now, with the help of the AI for the first time is that now you can actually ask the computer to sift through all the data, not only to sift through all the data for you, but even you can ask the questions of what is the information that you needed. You can create your own database, for example, okay? And you can curate this from open source database plus your own database or whatsoever, and then you can actually use that to query the AI and it can generate the results. So now AI cannot exist without data. So, and that is why I think data is going to be very important. And when we have the access to all this data, it will allow us to design things that is differently. So why I say that, I think AI could leverage, to give us an opportunity to really have a level playing field is that now the technology barrier to really go into, like to synthesize a new drug or design a new drug, the barrier has becoming lower and lower. So the important part now is basically how we can actually gather all this information and the data quickly and validate the data quickly. So things like, for example, quickly go into the clinical trial will give us a very head start compared to other players. So we cannot have the AI that do all the excellent discovery and also the simulation, but it's stuck, cannot go into the clinical trial, and then we will be lagging behind. So I think information is powerful, and what AI can do is really helping us to have a level playing field now that more people can actually access it, no longer that we have to base on, a certain wisdom. Imagine, okay, last time if you are doing molecular docking or molecular dynamic study, it can be 1 PhD thesis. Today are probably just 1 week of work. So I think this type of technology, okay, would help us to accelerate. So if we master it easily, especially when new technology comes, right, that is the opportunity for us to catch up. So if we do not embrace it, we will lose up again. So if you look at all the drug discovery, we have lost the boat when it comes to small molecule development. We are not in that part. We have lost the boat, when it comes to biologics development. We are not on it. So now the next generation, okay, now AI coming in. So I think we should embrace this opportunity to leverage it and push the industry and also discovery ahead. Yeah.
Thanks, Prof. So as Prof mentioned, AI is basically using data. So that's why when we put in garbage data is garbage out. So it's important to get the right data for us in order to develop a very efficient and accurate artificial intelligence. So basically, building on that, for medical field, for example, we have multiple multi-omics data, we have proteomics, we have genomics and all that. And individual studies of this basically particular omics data can take like petabytes of memory. So my next question is to Prof. Vanajan. In terms of quantum computing, how can quantum computing basically empower or enhance the capability of artificial intelligence development? And maybe while we are on this topic, maybe you can explain what is quantum computing in the layman terms to the audience.
Okay, how many of you know quantum computing? Okay, very good, yeah, but I see only 10%, okay? So I want to tell you about the quantum computing in a simple way, yeah. It's go very complicated at first in the beginning. Yeah, I myself is a basic background on quantum calculation and molecular dynamics. Quantum calculation, we talking about the energies calculate using the classical computer. Classical computer is got 0 and 1. You always listen head and tail like that. Flip the coin up. In between is either head or tail, right? And in the quantum computing, it can be between 0 and 1. It's not only two things, 0, 1, not only that one. It's between 0 and 1 in between. How many percent we don't know. Yeah. So for that, you start to realize that how powerful of these quantum computing is many more than 2 states and infinities. It's powerful memory, powerful space, right? Okay, now the things I asked you, okay, if I'm going to see like one person in the room, how do I do with the classical? Okay, only single person I do in the room. I want to search one single person. If you do classical way, you will go like by name tag like that, or without microphone. I don't ask like, okay, who is that? Okay, you just go one by one. But with the quantum computing, you can kind of like bird eye view look one shot, and then you know what is the position possibilities of that person could be. It's called superposition, and then another one is entanglement. Is use the linkage of your information in order to find that person in one shot. Okay? Now, come back to the cancer, because it's very complicated, different position of the mutation in your gene, and different person, different gene, different family, different gene. All that, how about if you can zoom at one? Where should I treat the drugs to selected position? What is the correct drug that I want to be? Can I use natural products, which is a gift from God already, that actually all the drugs is that represent the section of the natural product that you mimics in order to make it better. Now, you snapshot of your mutation. That one I talking about the gene only. There's a law, very big important on your lifestyle, and then our calculation data that calculate different position of electrons in the space in order to predict the interaction between the protein target and the drug some more. How fast you can be. Dr. Long always challenge me, yeah. Can you do fast? Current one is fast already. I say, oh, so many data, some more. How do we do? Omics data, the calculation data, and then the several mutation data. It's not only one specific mutation. So all these have to combine. When you're talking about big data, big calculation that you use, quantum computing is come into play. But we need to start now to learn how to change the things in classical to the quantum computing. It's very hard, it's very challenging. But this one, the new technologies, the new generation must know. That's what I want to say, yeah. So you should check out the quantum computing. It's a powerful tool. Together with the AI, you can treat people, and then cancer can be cured.
Thank you, Prof. So basically, yes, quantum computing is able to further accelerate the speed of AI in basically automating all the tasks and all that. So we know that also mentioned about data, multiple data and all that. And we know that in order for us to develop a good AI, we need data. And how can we get data is basically from partnership and collaboration. So my next question is still to Prof, as a representative from academia. Prof, fostering trust and collaboration is critical for AI success. What are the biggest challenges to bringing together diverse stakeholders? For example, how can academia better work with industry, regulators, government, in basically bringing AI discovered molecule to the market?
This one, I come out to one sentence. I think we have to train our brain with the AI towards the possibilities. Correct, right? If everyone thinks that we possible to do things, train our brains, reduce the negative, get the good positive energies, and then keep doing towards the progress, I think we can do it, yeah. Train our brains, say the right people, the right good person, the right thing that we want to do. What is the team that we want to work? What is the research problem that we want to do? And my team is like really focused on the cancer now because I think it's very complicated issue and then we really need most. Yeah. So this one, I think everyone open already, but it's how we always think like how we gonna share the platform or this genetic information. The government is really need to look on this, how we can use and then can work on this data that we have. We have already, but how we gonna use and then make it useful, yeah. So train our brain towards the possibilities, working together well, solve real problem on the cancer. For small case like this, just do it, yeah.
Dr. Nazli, just to add on that, basically since you are coming from ex-government going into industry, so what are your views in terms of government? What can we do in creating a policy that enables more data sharing across different stakeholders and streamline, basically eventually streamline the process of AI development in Malaysia?
Yeah, I think in terms of the development, I think that there's a lot of changes in the model. In the past, we do not have any collaborative model. I think we need to change that to create more collaborative consortium-like. The problem in Malaysia, okay, pharmaceutical industry is regarded as a priority sector. But again, I think if you look at the number of companies that is really get into the real business of doing R&D, is very minimal. Because the impact of the financial to the organization if they were to do it by themselves. But I think if the Malaysian government were to provide kind of a platform so that it will enable the company to work together with the university and research institutes, which is not new. I mean, the rest of the world is working. I just mentioned about SAPI and the rest of the development of AI in vaccine. They have to rope in the academic. We cannot run away from the academics. I think that's the way things are. But I think in Malaysia, we are lacking in terms of making the organization or companies together with the university and research institute together. So I think the policy that the government could provide probably to provide some sort like an avenue for all of us to work together. I just talked to Dr. Azwan about why not we create a pilot project since UTM is regarded as the university that will head AI. And of course, Meranti will be working on the innovation component. So I think creating the consortium with University Malaya, for example, company like us, even though small, but I think there are ways of doing it. And I think from IMU now also a company, so I think there's a way to do it. But I think the idea here, there are areas that we say Malaysia can compete. You see, the problem with the drug discovery is the domain of the multinationals. But I think there's a new area of focus, which is cell and gene therapy, which changed the level of the playing field. Because the requirement for the treatment, it requires that the patient T cells, for example, be taken from the patient, and you have to have a lab that then will engineer the T cells to be able to recognize cancer cells. And I was reading about how much it costs. It will cost probably 500,000 to 1 million ringgit in Europe, but it may cost 200,000 ringgit in Malaysia because of the changes in the way the drug is being administered. And the development of conventional drug, for example, the small molecules or biologics, for example, they want to basically manufacture in one site and then deliver to the rest of the globe. But because the cost for the development is so high, then the cost for treatment is much higher. But with the changes in, for example, the development of cell and gene therapy, where the concept will be slightly different, it allows a lot of small companies to be able to get into the field. And I thought this could be a good field for Malaysian companies. However, I think there's also a gap, as again we mentioned about getting it approved and so on and so forth. So I thought it could be a very good, some sort of like a way forward, where we have a consortium of companies and universities and the development of AI that would be able to get this target molecule to be able
pharmaceutical industry. This morning, basically, I had a very interesting conversation with one of the panels on the other side. So basically, we have a half-tech event ongoing on the other side of this building. I had one very interesting conversation with one of the panel in which she told me that our government, through NIMP, National Industrial Master Plan, putting medical devices and pharmaceutical, 2 out of the 5 pillars, medical devices and pharmaceutical, and then she questioned me, do you know that our self-sustaining level for these 2 industries is only 1%? So there's a huge gap between where we are now and where we want to be. And I think this initiative could be one of the things that could help us in accelerating our position to where we want to be in the future, ultimately delivering our NIMP 2030 plan as well. So yeah, I think it's right here. I don't have much time. So just one final question to Prof. Leong as a concluding questions. Prof. Leong, in your opinion, what are the most promising opportunities for AI in drug discovery that we should be focusing on over the next 5 years, particularly when it comes to improving access to medicine for underserved population?
Right. I think that there are quite a few things that we can do, like what have been mentioned. I think cell therapy is going to be in the mainstream, and Malaysia have the potential to go into this new technology as well, where the production, the localized production is absolutely crucial. It doesn't, well, compare to, let's say, small molecules whereby you have to manufacture from one place and then import it in. I think in the future of healthcare, we will see a plethora of different options that is lying ahead, small molecule, biologics, or even to the level of cell therapy. And Malaysia needs to identify where do we position ourselves, the best way that we can position ourselves. Are we competitive enough to actually, tackle the small molecule market or even the biologics market, or are we better to actually, be positioned and be specialized in certain areas? Gene and cell therapy is one such area. I think it's still very green, so that Malaysia can position into that. But of course, Malaysia also have large, diverse natural biodiversity as well. So we haven't actually systematically explored that space yet. Well, imagine, so if we have a system that could create a database that we can catalog, you know, even the gene pool of all these different biodiversity and the molecules that it produces, right? I can tell you is that you have a very, very powerful data set in the whole world that no one will be able to replicate it. And you can have that kind of power to actually using the AI and using this data plus the AI to generate value from that. And this is the area that I think Malaysia have a unique, distinct advantage, which other countries do not, right? If we do not use it today, so it will be a waste, basically. I think these two areas, I would say that it will be a particular advantage for Malaysia to invest in. Yeah.
Thank you, Prof. Leong. So with that, I think I would conclude the session. Basically, thanks everyone. I'm sorry that we don't have time to have a Q&A session, but the panels will be here during the break session. So if you want to catch one of them just to have a conversation, please feel free to do so. And as I mentioned previously as well, for those of you who are interested in HAFTAC related contents, you can head to the other side of the building where we are running the HAFTAC Innovation Connect. We have interesting contents in the space of regulation, in the space of innovation, pilot and validation in hospitals. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mohammad Hazwan, for moderating that very exciting discussion. And thank you to our panelists. Let's have a quick group photograph to wrap up the session. Thank you, panel, and we are definitely excited for the future of AI in health tech and how this will revolutionize the way we take care of ourselves. Once again, may I steal a minute of your time, ladies and gentlemen, to scan that QR code and help us improve. Let us know about the session, how you felt about the conversation had on stage. And as you're heading out, in the interest of time, let's do a running break and be back in the hall at 11:30 a.m. So at 11:30 a.m., we hope to start the next session. Please do kindly enjoy a quick refreshment and head on back into the hall by 11:30. Thank you.